Hey, Norcal Carters, this is Jason, and it is Monday, February 12th. And tonight we have a unique show that we have not done before or covered before, but we have a couple gentlemen here. We have Tim Meyer and we have Jim Waltz, and we're going to talk about vintage kart racing. We're going to talk about the Go-Kart Hall of Fame. We're going to talk about bringing people into the sport just to go to the track and have some track time without necessarily going under big tents and going racing every weekend, but more for the recreational aspect. And thank you for joining. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you've not done so already. And I'm still working on my backdrop for 2024. So if you'd like to sponsor, or if you're a local track that has not yet renewed, you have one more week. So you have one more week before this gets updated. And then I'm probably only going to do it quarterly from there. So that way it's not every single week I have to update the background. Unless you want to be a big sponsor, then I'll put anything back here that you want. I don't care. But yeah, so tonight it's going to be exciting. I'm going to have a lot of questions for both Tim and for Jim. And as always, if you go to norcalcarters.com, if you click on the events, we do have the list of events for the tracks that are supporting Norcal Carters and what we're doing. Their calendars are on there. If you go to the site and it looks like it's old, hit refresh, because I'm in the website every day. So sometimes your browser will save an old copy of the website. So go in and hit refresh or clear your cache, and that'll bring up the latest website. So again, that's norcalcarters.com. And you can find us on Facebook. We're streaming there. We're streaming on Instagram. And we're streaming on YouTube. So, and again, thank you to everyone. We broke the 1,000 subscriber mark a couple of months ago. And it's been pretty cool watching the stats in the background. Every week, we're getting more and more followers. And it's all organic, too. I don't go out and buy subscribers. So I know in social media world, 1,000 subscribers is not a lot. But those are subscribers that are interested in the karting content. So it's a very, I don't know what the right word is. It'll come to me in the middle of the podcast, but it's a very direct audience. So with that being said, let's bring Tim Meyer up. And you know what? I needed to ask him earlier if I'm even pronouncing his name right. Tim, are you ready for us?
Yes.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm ready. And you pronounced right. It's Meyer.
It is Tim Meyer. All right. Yes. Introduce yourself, who you are, why you're on the show tonight, and plug your social media or your website.
I'm Tim Meyer. I'm the founder of the Go-Kart Hall of Fame. Been in go-karting since 1958. My son raced go-karts 78 to 81. Now he's back racing in the master classes in the Sousa and Rok Cup. So I've been involved in karting 60 years or so. So maybe that. I'm a vintage karter. I was a racer way back in the day. And I'm just having a lot of fun with this Go-Kart Hall of Fame. Trying to spread the word to have the new karters understand what vintage karting was, where the roots came from, where we started from.
That's a perfect introduction. And what we'll do when we go to the full screen with the three of us on the screen, I will have the Go-Kart Hall of Fame website as the main frame on the site. So we'll be able to walk through the website that way. So thank you for the introduction, and let's bring up Jim Waltz. Give me one moment while I unmute. Oh, no, you have to mute, I guess, on your end. Jim, unmute your mic and give us an introduction.
Hi there. I have not been in karting quite as long as Tim, as far as being an active karter. Way back in high school, I had a mini bike that was very quick, and one of my very good friends that I grew up with built his own go-kart and scared myself silly driving it across the parking lot one day at about 70 miles an hour. But I raised a family, spent some time overseas in a war, and after my father passed away, I inherited a little bit of cash, and I knew that my father would want me to spend it on having fun. So I bought my first race kart, and about 98, started racing with the Blue Max Kart Club in Davis, California, and I'm currently the longest continuously active racer in the club. 2024 will be my 27th consecutive year racing with that club, and I have 5 club championships to my credit. I've been involved in vintage karting since the day I saw one of our Hall of Fame members, future Hall of Fame members, Terry Ives, drive a kart called an SAE around the Davis track. And right then and there, I said, I've got to do this. And I'm at about 14 years now in vintage karting. So, and I've met most of the more famous people in the annals of karting history. And we'll talk about that in a bit.
Very cool. All right. Thank you for the introduction. Oh, that's a different layout. Let me try. We'll go with this for a minute. I wasn't expecting that layout. Well, thank you for the introduction, Tim and Jim. And yeah, so vintage. Let's see. We could do the Hall of Fame. We could talk about vintage karts. We could talk about why it's important to preserve the history of karting. There's a lot of things we could talk about tonight. I think let's jump into the Hall of Fame though, because I have that screen ready to go, and I'm gonna move something over here. So you have the Go-Karting Hall of Fame, and Tim, this is your passion project here.
Yes, it is.
So we have, let's see here. You have an event coming up. It is in March, correct? Or April?
April. It'll be the inaugural induction for the Go-Kart Hall of Fame. This will be our first event.
So I'm on the inductees. So for 2024 in April, the inductees, these are the names that you're going to put into the Hall of Fame here in a couple of months. Is that correct?
The inaugural class, exactly. It'll be April 12th and 2024.
Okay. And then we have, let's see, I see Emick on there. They're Norcal.
Robert, Frank and Sil, they're Norcal. Gary, Wheeler Gresham, he's from San Jose. Jack Lehman's from up in Oregon.
Yeah, we have Nelsons. The Nelsons are from California here.
Yes.
Looks like you have Vincent Paleo. Scott Pruitt, they're from Norcal. Bob Pruitt's from Norcal. John Regani, he's from Norcal.
Joe Rice and Chris Rice, they're from I forgot the time, but Central California.
Okay.
Yeah, they're from Central. So yeah, there's quite a few. Karting is really kind of vintage karting in general. You know, you got the West Coast where karting actually started, and then you have the Midwest, Ohio, into that valley there, and then you have the East Coast karters, and we're kind of always been separated. We're trying to do a little bit better job of blending together. It's kind of like a North-South war or something. But in this list here, so the initial class was really we're doing 40, which is quite a few, but some of them aren't with us anymore. And I tried to do a mix between West Coast guys, East Coast guys, and so that's how the list came about. There's quite a few that I would like to put on for the inaugural class, but it's going to be an actual banquet. It's not just a Facebook thing or a website thing. So just trying to cover the bases the best we can, and I think we did a pretty good job. I've had a lot of positive comments on it.
And then how did you I mean, I'm going to ask you a pretty pointed question. How'd you come up with the initial list? I mean, that can't be easy.
It's not easy. I was able to find a pretty accurate, pretty complete list of IKF Duffy winners.
Okay.
And that was kind of the starting point. Then I looked at the WKA list of karters who won their top awards.
Okay.
And that started the list off. And then we have some manufacturer people, we got a couple kart tracks on there, Kinsmen Kart Club and the Heart of Texas Kartway. They both started back in the 60s. So that was I've got we've got probably a list of 2,000 individuals or kart clubs and things to draw from. So
yeah,
it's
so
going to
let
take
me
a
ask
while.
you about the kart clubs. I noticed you have Kinsmen and you have Heart of Texas Kartway.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with Heart of Texas. I'm definitely familiar with Kinsmen Kart Club. How did you decide if you wanted to have an actual track on the list? And then why was Kinsmen why did they make the cut for the first year?
It was tough. It's almost you got to list. There could have been 20. We could have done TNT Raceway back in Quincy, Illinois. We could have done there's tracks up and down the West Coast. But I went with a group that started really early and are still involved in karting.
Okay.
The Heart of Texas Kartway was built in 1959 and is still in operation.
Now, which track is that? Is that what it goes by now?
What, the Heart of Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah, Heart of Texas Kartway, and they're in Waco, Texas.
They're in Waco, Texas.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're starting to build a vintage karting base there now. They're this year here they do modern kart racing, and they're going to do the same thing with vintage kart racing. They're going to run them once a month.
Okay.
So they're active. The owner is really active, and so that's who got the nod. We've already started a list for 2025, and we're going to be able to. We're going to try to induct 6 to 10 drivers and a couple tracks, and then a couple. We also have there's not very many sportscasters or motorsports editors anymore, or like there used to be back in the 70s. We had every newspaper had a motorsports editor.
Yeah.
And now we don't. And so, but there's some people that played a big role in media that helped us a lot. We Doug Stokes and stuff. So we've got a lot of the good names to draw from, and I haven't even scratched the surface yet. There's still I get suggestions every day now.
Okay. And how would someone reach out to you and get a hold of you if they want to help you out with the Hall of Fame? If they have a suggestion, it's like I'm pretty sure everyone has a suggestion.
Yes,
or what you can do better. Everyone has an idea.
And I'm all ears, because I say right on my website here that I don't know everything. I need help. And so the best way to contact me is tim@gokarthalloffame.com. That gets right to me.
Okay.
And that's pretty simple. There's a on our website. There's a click down at the bottom. There's a place where you can fill out your name and stuff, and ask me a question, and I check my emails and stuff all day long.
Okay.
So
yeah. So here we have, this is Heart of Texas Kart Club.
Yeah.
And, I've never heard of it. I've been to a number of kart clubs in Texas, and I've never heard of this one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're active now. They race their modern karts and vintage karts.
Okay.
And the owner is just an absolute over the top go-kart guy. He I'm sure he's had to spend a lot of his own money to keep it going, but he's doing it every day. So that was a good call. But then your California tracks, you've got Davis and the old Lodi track. There's a lot of people that help contribute to karting, kart clubs. So I look forward to adding as many people as we can, but like I said, it's going to be an actual banquet. We're going to have a dinner and happy hour before things starts, and we have to do it. We're going to have people we've got an MC that's going to introduce the inductees, and if they're there, they can talk about themselves for 5 minutes, as whatever they want. So we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun event. I got a lot of response to it.
Yeah, let me see here. I'm gonna go. So we have Kinsmen Kart Club up on the screen now. So your banquet information. Let's bring up your website here. Give me one moment. We'll bring up the other website for Go Kart Hall of Fame. And add to the stage, Go Kart Hall of Fame.
Yep.
So the website is gokarthalloffame.com. That's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Then we'll scroll down, right-hand side, banquet information. So it looks like you're going to have the banquet on April 12th, 2024, down in Bakersfield.
And that's the same time as the VKC, Vintage Kart Club of America, has one of their major events will be at the Bakersfield Kart track. So,
Okay.
So we've got an actual event going on that weekend. It'll be out the track on a little bit of loading on, I guess, on Thursday. Then you've got an all day Friday practice days. You got all day. They really don't race. It's all people bring their karts out. They go out onto the track when they want to in different groups. We kind of separate the very beginners from everybody else, but it's just kind of a run what you brung, and when you want to run, the guys go out and race amongst themselves. It's just a really low key, easy paced event.
Low key, easy paced event. And we got to hype this up a little bit for spectators too. Just because those type of events are usually easier for either new people trying to get into a sport to see a different segment of it, and then also there's no polite way of saying this, but you old guys love to talk about racing.
Yes.
Jim's waving his hands like that's me.
I'll jump in a moment and talk about one of the things that I do to get new people out on the track at a vintage event. We'll do that in just a moment.
Oh, jump in now and do it.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I do, I'm kind of a teacher at heart. I'm actually a professional educator in my own right. And one of the things that I do is I always bring one cart that is a loaner cart. And I have like 5 bags of loaner gear. I have like 15 driving suits, a bunch of helmets, neck braces, balaclavas, gloves, all of that. And it doesn't always get taken advantage of. But since we're hyping a little bit, the most recent time I put somebody on the track was at Santa Maria last year. I think it was in August. And we had a really big fellow that wanted to drive a kart. And I managed to outfit him with all the gear he needed. He didn't use my cart because my loaner cart, we would have had to bend him in half to put him into that cart. But somebody else was allowing him to drive the cart. So that's one of the things that I personally do. If you show up at one of our VKCA, Vintage Karting Club of America events, and you can find that on the internet and on Facebook, and you show up at one of our events and you want to drive, you look me up and we'll put you on the track. And so that's my way of promoting karting in general and vintage karting in particular.
Is it vkakarting.com?
Well, there are 2 notable vintage karting organizations. There is the Vintage Karting Association, VKA. That's a group that's been around for a long time, and it is sizable in terms of its membership. They tend to be a little more aggressive in what they do on the track. And because of that, a group spun off, I don't know, about 7 years ago, called VKCA, Vintage Karting Club of America. And in particular, Terry Ives, who is one of the icons, raced at Long Beach with Pruitt, for example. And so he's been around for a long time. Wonderful guy, has a wonderful wife, Carol. And they decided to spin off a group where we don't throw a checkered flag. We don't award points. We don't do anything like that, although we will do some mock heats, like on a Sunday morning or something like that. And, and this is not hard and fast. We like to come out and have a good time. I'm usually the wine meister at these events. I live in the Livermore Valley, which is the historic wine region of California, where it all started in the late 1800s. Napa and Sonoma they're the new kids on the block. And so I always bring some really nice wine because that's another part of what I like to do relative to education. And so I introduce people to really good red wines. I've converted a lot of people from being white wine drinkers to red wine drinkers because that's really where it's at. So anyway, we have events that are as much social as they are on-track competition, and we're a pretty genteel group, and so we have a good time with it. And Bakersfield is one of our major events, and I belong to both organizations.
Okay. Yeah, and I just brought up Bakersfield since that's where you're going to have your next big meet in conjunction with the Hall of Fame. I drove Bakersfield for the first time a couple of years ago with my buddies from Team Visalia, and they're a bunch of shifter cart guys. And I wish Bakersfield had a bigger pit area because that track was so much fun to drive. It was a lot of fun. It was a little tight in the shifter, but it was doable. But yeah, the way it goes up and down through the, down the hill and, a couple sweepers there. It is a very, very fun track.
Well, that track hasn't changed from its original construction.
Yeah, and it's smooth. I was really surprised how smooth the track was. Let's see. Tim Meyer on YouTube. Is this Junior or is Tim Meyer doing double duty?
No, I'm not on you.
You're not on YouTube. Tim Meyer, can I drive a cart at that event? So, Tim, if you missed it, yeah, you can drive Jim's cart.
And there's others. Terry Ayers has a loaner cart that has adjustable seat in it where he has different inserts. So if you're my size, 180 pounds, you can fit into it. And if you're 100 pounds, you can fit into it as well. He's got a little insert that he puts in it. But everybody has carts. And I think if you have any karting experience at all, you can get into a cart at a vintage event with no problem. There's plenty of people that I bring half a dozen carts out that, but I never have time to run them very much. But everybody has carts. It's a really friendly bunch. The camaraderie is, if you have a problem, you got 10 guys helping you.
That is correct.
If you something happens or you didn't bring a part, or it's just a really fun deal. It's not, you're not, I'm glad his cart broke down. Now I can finish one place higher. It's a really interesting program.
Yeah, it almost describes club racing in general as well.
Close. Yeah.
And that's what I try to explain to new guys. It's like there's a few of the big events that pay me to go out there to do the announcing or whatever. So I can't just come out and bash on them because they give me a paycheck. But I've been pretty public about it. Sometimes those are the worst races as a new guy to go out and try to get questions answered. What's that?
That was Duffy, and there's John Rugani and and Ronnie Emick, and that's
I just got the photo gallery going around in the background there. But yeah, it's one of those things where guys want to get into karting, and all the teams are at certain events, but their goal is to get back on the track.
Absolutely,
that's their goal. Hey, we're going to get back on the track, and
I tell people
swap meets and things like that are great. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jim.
We don't race. We just look like we're racing.
You don't race. You just look like it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It gets pretty heated with some of the guys racing with one another. You got to kind of have a talk with coming off the track. So it's like it's always been. It's been really, I remember when I was a kid, my dad worked for a railroad, and one of the places that he would drive by was an auto dealership called Perk the Jerks, used car lot, and he sold go-karts right at the very 1950 late 58. And my dad brought a cart home, and a couple of my buddies had carts, and we'd go out to the Freightliner factory there in Hayward, and on Sundays they were closed, so we would just ride around in their parking lot. Our moms would make us sandwiches, our dad would take us out there, and we'd just spend the whole day there.
Shout
And
out
that,
to Walter and Scott from Team Hayward.
oh, good. Hayward,
Hey, yeah,
that's where I grew up.
is that where you grew up?
Yep, Hayward. I raced I drove my go-kart up and down the street before a race on Meekland Avenue every Friday night generally.
The Meekland Avenue. All right.
Yep, Meekland Hills.
Yeah, so we have a couple of guys that tune in, and they call themselves Team Hayward.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, that's one of the galleries. Let me see if I'll switch over here. Do you have the way your website's set up? Do you have all the galleries or all the
Just
pictures
like
at the bottom scrolling through everything?
Yeah. We've got I've got probably 1,000 photos up.
Oh, okay. Oh, we'll just
on
let
there.
those play in the background
There's
then.
different things. I'm trying to organize it a little bit different than than I have it right now. But it's a work in progress. I still work a full-time job still. We're in the heating and air conditioning business, so I stay pretty busy. But this year's become a real passion. So
Yeah. Well, and that's the problem with the passion projects, right? It's I have a little bit of income with Norcal Carters, but it's still not my 9 to 5 job. That's extra cart parts. And yeah, you're trying to you want to put a lot of time into the passion projects, but it's hard when that's not where the check is coming from. But yeah, you have a lot of photos on this website. So this is gokarthalloffame.com. And then let everyone know when your inaugural inductee Hall of Fame is
it's
April.
going to be April 12th, 2024. We're at the Doubletree Hotel in Bakersfield.
Yeah,
it's going to be an actual banquet. It's going to be really nice. Robert Kinsella, his grandfather was one of the major kart players when karting first started. They had a kart shop in karting in San Jose. So I'm glad Robert's on board. His Frank, his grandfather, and his dad are both being inducted into this class.
Okay.
So
let's see. We have a question from our buddy Gear Nuts. Let's see. Oh, that's a comment. The question's the next one. Let's see. Without getting too far ahead, a favorite memory, engine package and chassis from a vintage standpoint. Let's start with you, Tim.
Well, I'm sorry. Ask me that question again. I'm trying to get my daughter's attention to top up my Moscato beverage here. Jason, tell me again. What are we?
Well, I'm gonna have Tim answer it first.
Oh, go for it. Well, it is the Tim and Jim show after all.
It is.
No, it's not. I'm just a caretaker.
Favorite memory, engine and engine package and chassis.
Besides my first go-kart, my dad brought his go-kart A400 with a Clinton A400 motor on it. Besides that, I raced for just a couple races and a company that was making go-karts at the time, Hovey Go-Karts, Jack Hovey, Scotty Hovey. They had a friend see me at one of the races at the old Oakland Army base in Northern California, and he told him about me, and so I got sponsored right off the top, driving for Hovey Hawk, and the son Jack Hovey, he was an innovator. And so I got a brand new Hovey Hawk, and he built me a Power Products motor, and that was probably, and we won, like that picture of that's up at Vacaville, that guy with the checkered flag, and there's Scotty Hovey right there, Scotty Hovey in the white overalls. It was that was my first real kart that I really was able to go to national races with and win with it. So it was a Hovey Hawk, had a little front suspension that they outlawed after a couple of years. Power Products motor with 2 carburetors, and he put a 5th port in the cylinder with and so that was my favorite kart. That was, and then I had a bunch of others after that, but that was the one I won the Vacaville 100 mile junior race. It was 25 miles in 1960 and 61, 62. So that was my favorite kart.
Do you happen to have any pictures in one of your sideshows of the Vacaville track?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay.
Yeah, I've got pictures from artists being at that event, but I don't think I've gotten that that far yet. But it was a road course. It was located kind of where the there was a restaurant up there that we'd go to. That's yeah. So anyway, no, I don't have a
No.
track.
Okay.
It was a road course that had a big 1.5 mile oval part of it at the far end, had a big bank corner at one end, and then they had a drag strip there that ran for a long time. And but it was an actual road course, probably 10 turns, maybe 2
Was
miles.
it south of 80?
It was on the same. It was on the south side of 80. Yes.
South
Yeah.
side. And you could you
It,
see
it was,
remnants of it from the freeway every once in a while, or no?
yeah, I think they're developing it now, but then way later on, the track was run by SCCA, the Sports Car Club of America,
Okay.
and years later, back after it had actually been just worn out and pretty much gone, I was able to do in 1976 or 77. I did a couple motocross Grand Prix races there, where we go out to the dirt, come back onto the asphalt, and so, but it's pretty much gone now. I drove by it last year, but
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so Jim, same question for you. Favorite memory, engine package, and chassis?
Well, interesting question. I, as I mentioned before, had a little thing called a war that got in the way when I was of an age where I would have loved to have been a racer back in the day. I didn't get active in racing until I was in my 50s. And however, one of the vintage karts that I am putting together is a very interesting kart. And in particular, I will be running a pair of 5-port West Bend V700s on that kart. And years ago, my childhood friend, Jeff Walters, did a home-built kart. It was his second kart that he built, and this one was very nicely turned out. And West Bend in 1961 was about to bring out their 820 and 610 engine that had removable cylinder heads, but it wasn't ready to go public yet. So they discovered that the karters back then were taking the West Bend 580 and the West Bend 700 and adding 2 additional ports to the cylinder by actually installing rubber tubes and then coating them with a product back then called DevCon. And it really made that engine come alive. And my buddy Jeff bought one of, and so West Bend said, "Oh, well, we gotta, if we want to stay competitive, we're going to have to come up with a 5-port version of our current engine." And they made the 5-port 580 and 5-port 700 for less than a year in 1961. And my buddy Jeff bought one of those, put it on his kart, and I went to an A&P, Atlantic and Pacific, grocery store parking lot one Sunday afternoon, hopped in my buddy's kart, no gloves, no helmet, no driving suit, no pads, no protection, and zipped off down the parking lot. And I knew what speed was, and that was something in the order of close to 70 miles an hour. And I learned something that day about how they pave parking lots, because I made a 90-degree turn at high speed. And it turns out that when they pave a parking lot, they do it in strips. Well, I was going along a strip, and when I turned, I was going across the strips. And it was kind of like driving perpendicular to a plowed field. And next thing I knew, only one wheel at a time was touching the ground. And I managed to slow that kart down, didn't have very good brakes, and brought it back to where we started. And I said, that's enough for me for today. I'm very happy having driven that. So now I'm going to build a kart that will have a pair of those. I have 5 of those engines. They're very rare. And I will run a right hand and a left hand on a kart that I call the California Nike, because nobody knows who made them. They're square tube karts. and I have the only two that, as far as I know, exist. So one of them is my loaner cart that I run a high time, high hours West Bend 820 on it, and I will put a pair of these West Bend 5-port 700s on it, and it will be a cart that has all Palmini accessories on it, and it will be a Palmini special. So that's part of my history, if you would have it, and part of what motivates me going forward. I may have to, like Terry Ives in some of these pictures has a white helmet on that says Terry Ives across the chin. I may have to put on a helmet that says Jeff Walters, who was my childhood friend and died at a very young age, unfortunately.
Yeah, a lot of different memories and ways you can not contribute, tribute, pay tribute to people.
Oh, yeah.
So it sounds like overall, I mean, you guys are really going for obviously keeping the history of karting alive, maybe even reviving it a little bit, and but also making it very social and having a good time.
Well, and talk about tribute, Jason. One of the things that I did a number of years ago was create a replica of Duffy Livingstone's red helmet with white polka dots that he wore in the early days of karting and when he drove his Model T Ford on a 39 chassis that Brock Yates made famous in a book called Hot Rod. And so I created this replica helmet, and it was an open face helmet. And the vintage karting people let me wear it for quite a number of years, even though it didn't quite meet the rules. And now it's completely outlawed, but I have a wonderful picture of myself wearing that helmet. And the unique thing about the helmet is that I got Faye Pearson, who was a wonderful and iconic woman in karting in the early days. She and her husband ran Bug Karting. And Faye signed the helmet in Duffy's honor. And a few years later, Lynn Haddock facilitated getting Duffy Livingstone to autograph the helmet as well. And it was a very touching that within less than 6 months after he signed that helmet for me, he left us permanently. So Duffy is a military veteran, was like myself, and I got a chance to meet him and get him to autograph some things, including this helmet. And it's it would probably be worth a lot of money if I went to sell it, but I don't think it'll ever leave my possession.
And Duffy Livingstone is the guy that is the founder of Go-Kart, the Go-Kart manufacturing company, one of the very first manufacturing companies that sold.
That is correct.
2,000 carts a month. It sold a massive amount of go-karts.
It was amazing. And of course, the IKF trophy is called a Duffy, and that's named after Duffy Livingstone. He flew in Black Cats in the Pacific during World War II. And a man that had absolutely no pretense. He was very approachable and would engage anybody messing around with karts. As long as they wanted to talk with him, he would talk with them. And a great man, a true hero. And we were very sad to lose him, I don't know, probably about 5 years ago. And of course, Faye Pearson has passed away as well.
Yeah, it's as the years tick on by, that's going to happen, right?
Yes,
but, I mean, it's great that we have someone taking the time, the effort.
Tim and I are both on borrowed time.
Borrowed time. You know what? None of us know when our time is up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really the reality of it.
That's
But
true.
I mean, it's cool just having these pictures in the background, just scrolling through, and yeah, like I said, I've seen some of the vintage stuff in the past, um, but seeing all these collections of photos coming through, and it's like, wow, there's a lot, just a lot of different carts and designs. Actually, that's a question I have for you. What we'll start with Tim, and then we'll go to Jim. Um, what is the one technological breakthrough um, from the vintage cart stuff that, like, to this day you say, "Wow, that was pretty cool." Um, I'll let you go, Tim.
Probably the invention of the live axle, because the first go karts that were manufactured had the engine mounted on either the left or the right side, and it was just drove that one rear wheel. And then after probably a year or so there, then I think that then the live axle, which was a solid axle, went across the back, and both back wheels drove from one motor.
Okay. So
I
for
think that,
you, the biggest and interesting, well, and that's still with us today, is the live axle. So
yes, exactly. That has stayed with us because initially the go karts had, if you had two motors, one drove the left motor, one drove the right motor or engine.
oh, okay.
And if you had a single engine go kart, it either drove the left wheel or the right wheel, whether or not it was direct with the chain or with the jack shaft.
That would be interesting, syncing up the engines when one drives the right and one drives the left on a duel.
Right.
It'd almost be like driving a tank.
Yeah. So if you were making if you had your engine on the right, if you're making a left hand a left hand corner, the motor would be off the ground, the tire would be off the ground, so you'd have to lean really heavy to keep it down.
Did anyone ever come up with a throttle pedal that pivoted so you could, like, do the right carb or the left carb, or two pedals?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. There's a lot of, because back then, as opposed to today, back then there were hundreds of go-kart manufacturers, hundreds of, probably 600 or 700 go-kart manufacturers throughout the country. Some were sold a lot of go-karts. Fox Kart, who the guy that invented the Fox Kart went on to become the world's largest motorcycle parts distributor.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Don Edmond, he's a big time AMA motorcycle racer from the past, and he's the editor of quite a few motorcycle magazines, and he just did a book on the Fox. I don't remember his first name right now, but yeah. So, and then other kart companies just made a few karts, and they're pretty rare, and every once in a while we'll find one, and it's a big deal. Out of this event that's coming up with us in Bakersfield, there's a couple guys that have the only existing kart left, the original. So
Okay.
there's a lot of cool stuff going on. But yeah,
Jim, how about you? What's the number one item of technology that you can attribute to vintage carts?
Well, I would go a little bit further out in history than Tim. Pardon me. And Tim's going to help me remember the name of the Italian go-kart that first introduced the sidewinder method of mounting the engine. And Margay was early, but Tim, can you remember the name of that kart? They used an alligator as their logo.
The credit card?
Yeah, Italian. Early 60s.
Yeah.
They ended up making a Formula One car. They were amazing people.
Yeah, I the foreign stuff I'm really not too versed on. That came after I was in. That was in a period when I was doing motorcycles or something.
Jason, so they had an alligator for a logo?
Well, it was like a. It was like a type of alligator, and that's what they named their kart. And I have a coffee table book that was written about this company, and they started with karts. They were very successful. They went into small motorcycle engine Formula cars and ended up with a 12-cylinder Formula One car back in the 1960s.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it wasn't successful, the Formula One car, but they were the ones that first introduced this concept of a sidewinder kart where the engine was sitting up alongside the driver as opposed to a rear engine kart. Because, there's a lot of pictures going across Tim's Go-Kart Hall of Fame website.
Yep.
Most of them, at least half of them are probably sidewinder karts. But there's a lot of rear engine karts as well. And the whole idea of moving the engine up alongside the driver was that it reduced the polar moment of inertia of the kart. It allowed you to shorten the wheelbase, widen the track, and every go-kart that's made today is a sidewinder kart. And I wish I could remember the name of the company.
Techno
Tim will think of it in a moment.
It's Techno Kart.
Techno, that is correct. TECNO. Techno.
I was trying to let you guys have credit.
That's it.
That's it.
Well,
that's when everybody copied.
Yes, everybody did. And Faye Pearson, I think, actually competed against those when she went over to Europe. And in fact, I think the Techno, there it is, the Puma. And these people were they were way ahead of the game, way ahead of the game. This is like, does it say there, 1963?
1963.
Right. And American karts, I don't think got into sidewinders. I think Margay might have been the first manufacturer to switch to that, and they still they came out of a company called King Karts and are still manufactured today. And Techno and the gas tank on this kart is very unique. And if you can zoom in, you can see the logo on the tank. And I don't know whether you can do that, Jason. But these guys were way ahead of the game. And that's kind of like a Ferrari logo on the tank. And across in the yellow part of the bottom of the sticker on the tank is this sort of an alligator, crocodile kind of thing. And looks like Jason's going to pull something up here in a second, and away we go.
Trying.
These guys were way ahead of the game. I have the book. I just don't have it handy. I just moved my residence. Everything's in boxes.
Oh, okay.
But that was they changed the world of go-kart design, chassis design. And Tim's right. The very first go-kart was a one-wheel drive kart, and I've driven a one-wheel drive go-kart, and it is it's disconcerting because you've only got power and brake on one wheel in the back, and it gets real exciting when you go around the wrong kind of corner. Tim was exactly correct with that.
No, this is cool. And then so the website that I stole for the show, this is vdm46.com. So this is Van Dusen.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is Rod Van Dusen.
Yeah, you see the alligator there?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think the name of one of the versions of their kart actually took the name of that animal, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I refer people to VDM46 all the time.
Yeah, the Van Dusens have done a really nice job of gathering information.
Yeah, wonderful. I should probably put him in my notes to have him on the show as well at some point. Because there's just so much. There's so much information on his website.
Yes,
I'm actually surprised. I know I'm actually surprised he had Techno Kart on there, honestly, because I know it's usually when people come up in the forums or they're looking to buy or sell some sort of equipment, and it looks like an older American kart. I usually send them to that site. So here, you spend the time going through the pictures and figuring it out.
Yeah, there's a lot of karting information on the web now. There's a lot.
There is, yes.
Yeah, if you just have to look for it, but just punch in vintage karting and it really pops up.
Yeah, I was just Googling Italian kart sidewinder, and yeah, VDM 46 popped up. And they're in California, so even a better tie-in.
Since the Central Valley there.
Yep.
And he's a wealth of information. He manufactured. I don't know whether he's doing that too much more anymore now, but he helps people out restoring their carts as well, building pieces and parts and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I've met him a few times, usually at the swap meets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Speaking of swap meet, Jim Waltz, why don't you plug Blue Max Kart Club? When is your swap meet coming up?
Soon.
Soon.
I think it's this coming weekend, but I'm not sure.
All right, let me help you out here.
As the president of the club, I should know that, but I'm just getting into the saddle.
You're just getting into the saddle?
No, I am. I agreed to do it under duress.
Under duress.
Yes.
February 24th and 25th, Blue Max Kart Club. So this website that you're looking at is mine. This is norcalcarters.com. If you go to the calendar, it'll have the swap meet on there. And then if you click on official discussion, it'll take you to the Facebook event I created. And if you're looking to buy or sell an item, pre-post it. Go online, pre-post it. Tell people what you're looking for or what you're selling. Let's see. It looks like Darren has some stuff posted on here already. And yeah. So February 24th and 25th. Usually my segues aren't very good, but that actually worked out pretty well. Jim, you have to readjust your camera.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're just in the top of your head.
He's had a couple glasses of wine.
Or you have to grab a phone book or something.
I'm sure it was blinding you with the reflection. I was actually off doing a little research on techno on the internet. So
okay.
Shame
hey,
on
Jason.
Shame on me.
Is there going to be a rebroadcast of this? Do you have that available?
Yeah, I mean it's live right now, and then once I hit end the stream, it'll be on YouTube and Facebook until they decide to or delete it from the internet.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I've been getting some emails here or some Texas people asking that.
Yeah, and if you want to steal the video and put it on your website, I don't care.
Okay.
I can even email you the hard file, but we could talk about that all later.
Okay,
but
good.
Yeah, it's on the internet forever now. So
good, because I've had half a dozen texts here saying I just got logged in. So anyway, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then like you and I talked about too, and we could do another show in March as we get closer to that April date. I'll call Vince and see if we can't get Vince on, and then I'll have Vince talk Ron Emick into coming on, and we can make it. We definitely.
Okay, great.
Sorry, I was just canceling out some of these tabs. Let's see here. Is there anything else you guys want to cover? I mean, we got a couple minutes left.
Well, just that if I've done a few car shows with and taken my cars out just to show them, and I've had hundreds of old guys or people at kart events with their grandkids and stuff walk by me, and I've never heard anybody tell me that they didn't like karting. They just talk about being the best times of their lives. They bonded with their father, and so I think if you have any interest in karting and you don't want to jump into the fire before to get started, finish karting, come out and see what we do, and I think it'd be it's at the last race in Santa Maria, I had all my grandkids there, and they were they had a really, really good time. They, you know, and I was totally surprised by that. So
I'm going to jump in real quick and just make an observation that people look at karting and their initial sort of reaction is, well, isn't that dangerous? Well, 26 years karting with the Blue Max Kart Club, I've seen, I think, 3 people leave in an ambulance. None of them were actually injured. They did get upside down and scraped a helmet. And we always have EMTs, and they went to the hospital, got checked out. Everything was fine. And my daughter, my oldest daughter, decided she liked karting, and I bought her a driving suit and a helmet and all that kind of stuff. And she spent a lot of time on the track. She used to just go on the track and drive 25, 30 laps at a time. And she went off then to university at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and was driving her Honda sedan one day in the rain on a freeway ramp. The car started to slide, and she knew exactly what to do. And I think it's great for the young people to learn vehicle dynamics, and I think that it makes them safer drivers in that they don't fool around racing on the street, because they know that that's really lame. And if you want to be a hot shot, you go to the track and you do real racing. So I think it's a great education, great socialization for a family, and I think it promotes safety and smart driving on the part of young people.
Well, and that is one of the rules we have in my house. I told my daughter before she ever drives one of my vehicles, she'll have to be in a kart for 2 years.
Cool.
Most of my friends and most of the people that watch the show know my daughter's a swimmer. So she doesn't race. And I said, you don't have to race, but you're going to go out to, the track days with me, and you're going to be in a kart for 2 years, and you're going to be proficient. And if you don't want to do that, then you can pay for your own insurance, buy your own car, but you'll be doing something else. Because I do agree with there's a lot of things that have happened to me in the past, just driving wise, that I didn't think about it. It was just a reaction, and I can 100% contribute or attribute that to my karting experience.
Yep, you got it.
Yep. So I'm with you on that one, Jim. So it should be a requirement.
I think so. I think so.
I'm just scrolling through the comments real quick to see if we've missed anything. Great show, very educational.
Cheryl. Now you got to look at her name.
Yeah, that's a family member there. That's my
family
wife.
member.
Yes, and we shouldn't be pronouncing it Cheryl, but that's the way it's pronounced.
Did I pronounce it right? I'm actually known for butchering names.
Yeah, she's.
But yeah, no, Tim, you and I will talk about the show in March as we get closer to your event there in Bakersfield.
Yeah,
it's actually kind of nice having your website with just kind of a slideshow in the background, because I didn't have to do anything. So that
worked out pretty well. But if anybody goes outside, there's over 1,000, there's like 1,300 pictures posted. And I'm getting them captioned slowly but surely, but I'm getting the captions. So.
Yeah. No, and there's a lot of photos on there. Let's see, Gear Nuts. We take our carts to Cars and Coffee. They always draw a lot of people. What sucks is that they say they've done K2 but once and start the carts and wrap on them. Oh, cycle.
It's a whole different.
They get a little spooked.
It's a whole different ball game.
They're not electric.
They're not electric.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, and Gear Nuts has a good point. And Jim, you talked about it with the Cars and Coffees or whatever. When it gets a little slow around here, that's why I grab one of my carts that I have for sale, and I just go to our local car show. And I always walk away with at least 5 names of people to follow up with, whether it's to put them in a cart to try to go drive or actually sell them equipment. So it's and then I get the old timers like you two that show up, and then they want to tell me about the history of karting, and it's like, wow, Like
Yeah.
you've been in the area and they start name dropping everyone's like, yeah, we know some of the same people. It's so cool. I mean, it really is a cool community.
Yeah. Us vintage guys, we grew up with we got to meet a lot of future big name race car drivers. I was good second in Indianapolis a couple years in a row. Scott Pruitt, Ronnie Emick went had a good shot to go big time, and but there's a whole bunch of. I don't think there's anybody back in the day that didn't start out in karting. So it's a good ground to.
Well, I think it's like the last 3 years at Indy, the entire starting grid has been composed of former karting champions, and
yeah. It as I get older, when I see like those grids, especially at Indy 500, you look at the names and it just reminds me of a junior field from SCUSA or IKF or something. It's like, oh wow. I guess I'm dating myself. But you're 100% right. And all of them,
we'll welcome you into the old guys club soon enough, Jason.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I'll embrace it. Let's see.
I really like this approach. I really thought that was pretty cool.
Which approach?
Well, see how I appear right now? And you were saying you got to fix your camera, Jim.
Yeah.
Well, I was leaning into the screen to look at a website on Techno, and I went to a Wikipedia page, and I was trying to read the text. And
I do it. So I run my own stuff on the shows, and it's like, yeah, a lot of. I probably should go back and look to see how much attention it looks like I'm not paying. But it's like, yeah, I'm trying to find different content, bring it up on the screen shares, and I almost forget I'm on camera. So I have to make a conscious effort to look at the thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. Hey Jim, we'll let you sign off first. Promote Blue Max Kart Club. Promote the swap meet. If not, I just did it for you.
Well, and I have to issue a protest to Tim that while Kinsmen is a wonderful club, they wouldn't exist except that Blue Max helped them stay alive back in 25 years ago. And so I'm expecting to see Blue Max on the list next year.
It was so hard. I probably got a list of probably 2,000 names now, that we're working towards. And then I try to whittle that down to, because I know we only have so much time.
It was an impossible task, and you took it on.
To do the event and to pick the first class to go in was almost impossible. It was so hard to do, and I got people that said this is the greatest list I've ever seen. I heard other people say, "Boy, you left out such and such," and it was tough, but it grew after I had the list done. I thought by a few more, but this is it. We'll get the more next year. My son raced at the Blue Max Kart Club. We race there as so you guys are. But I get heat from the Midwest. Why don't you have an Ohio track? Is this all Western Hall of Fame? I've heard all those stories. So we're just do our best.
Well, Jerry Salt, talking about Ohio, Jerry Salt will have to be on the list one of these years. He made one of the most iconic karts that we've ever seen, and it's a picture of me with the open face Duffy helmet at one side is my what do I call it when you have something that represents you, and there's a movie about it. What do you call that? Anyway, I slept last night.
Well, you definitely, you said 40 for 2024. And then if you go to possible inductees.
Wow.
I've got another 100 put on that I'm going to try to do. Right. But so, it's in the list, and I'm open to anybody to make suggestions. It helps if they give a little background on who they're talking about. is like I said, I'll get an email that says, "Boy, Jim Page should be on there."
Oh, I'm just like really curious. Howie Idelson watches the show every once in a while, and it's like I'm scrolling through. It's like, is he old enough to be in a Hall of Fame? So yeah, you have Howie Idelson on here. This is one of the possible inductees, and I'm not bashing on Howie. I'm just saying,
but
isn't he
no,
too young?
but this is a list. We've got a lot of people. I want to get as many old guys on there before they pass away.
Yeah, I understand that.
And then my second choice would be to get the old guys on there whose wives are still around or their kids are still around, because a lot of these guys they sacrificed a lot. This is what they could afford to do. So I think they spent what they couldn't afford to do. And so the wives and the kids. So I didn't know my dad raced go-karts, and I did. And this is really great to see that he was known by other people, and that's kind of. But this is just a list, and then for next year I'm going to have more help. I'm going to have a full nomination board, and then we're going to go through the list and pick out probably 100 people, and then break it down from there, and get it to 10.
So how does someone easily get a hold of you? I'm looking on your website here.
Right on the bottom,
front page.
Keep rolling down, I guess. But yeah, right at the bottom of the page it says you can the format is a little right there. Just punch in there, and I check those every day. My phone number is on here right above Jim's head, I think. And then and so they can call me. God, I had a guy that's being inducted into the Hall of Fame call me yesterday, and we were on the phone for almost 3 hours. He was just telling me his story from when he started. So somebody can give me a name and as much information as you have, at least where they're from, where they raced, and then we can research it. But
So Tim, we were talking about Team Hayward earlier with Walter and Scott. So
Yeah.
Scott just chimed in. Love the history of karting. No wonder I love karting. I'm a 1963 baby. So Scott, I don't know how long you've been tuned into this show, but Tim would drive his cart down Meekland Avenue. So
yeah, in Hayward.
In Hayward.
Yeah.
So there we go.
My buddy Jeff Walters and I, when he had his first cart that had a Lawson engine on it, which was, man, I doubt that it even put out 1 horsepower. At 10 o'clock at night, we would fire it up and go around the block. And before the first guy that took it out got back to the house, the phone would have rung like 25 times, So we used to terrorize the neighborhood.
So quick question for you, Tim. The names that you have in the Hall of Fame or the possible inductees, have you personally reached out to each person that you can, as far as, or that's still alive, and let them know about the website? Because I'm seeing a lot of names on here of people that I know.
Yeah, as many as I can, because most of them, all I have is maybe a name and where they're from.
Okay.
But I've gone on to Google and done Google searches and tracked down quite a few.
Oh, cool.
And a lot of them are still with us. And you also see, when you do the Google search, you see some pretty fun history about them.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I've done. Hopefully, they're getting better at contacting me. But like right here, Rick Gifford from Inglewood, I've been in touch with him. A lot of them, but everyone that's been inducted, I've been in touch with.
Oh, cool.
So that's
a lot of work you're putting into this thing.
There's a lot of work, but and I'm my oldest son says I have not one computer gene in my body.
Well, you did okay getting this website up and going.
Well, yeah, but he's and so it takes me a lot longer. I have a hard time keeping track of passwords, but yeah. But I really enjoy doing it. It's really a lot of fun. And it's funny when I'm laying it out, then I look at it the way it comes up on here. There's some mistakes that I got to go back and correct. But yeah, I try to, get in touch with as many people, and I get a lot of suggestions. The hard part about suggestions are they just give me a name, and that's tough to do.
Yeah.
But
no, it's quite a list, and it's a pretty cool site. And I appreciate both you gentlemen taking the time to talk about either the Hall of Fame or vintage karting, or your what puts a smile on your face when it comes to karting. It was a fun show.
Yeah. I've I really enjoyed it. Now, years ago, back in 2000, I started it's still up on Facebook, on the internet. It's the Stock Car Reunion Hall of Fame, and that was for West Coast stock car racing, and we did our first banquet, and got so many, especially with the old guys. They were still alive, but some of them were, and I got to meet everybody. Parley Jones and Roger Ward, and all those guys, and having their wives come up to you with just or their kids, especially stock car guys, because they were gone all the time, just saying to me, God, Tim, I'm so glad you did this, because I had no idea what my father did or what my grandfather did and why he wasn't around, and so I'm getting pretty much the same response from the Go-Kart Hall of Fame. It's just because I didn't do anything. I don't need to be in the Go-Kart Hall of Fame. Well, a lot of these guys, that's what they did, and they do need some recognition. And
you're on the right track, Tim.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing it. This is definitely not a profitable business.
No, it's a passion project.
Yes, this is, but I really enjoy doing it, and I'm getting more and more help, and so I think the next one will be better. We've talked about maybe moving around to different locations, but we'll just see how that plays out. I really didn't realize that the division, it's almost like the NFL and the rivalries. I never realized that the people because I've got emails and I leave them posted. Someone said, God, is this only a 2-cycle Hall of Fame? And then people chime in and say, about 4 cycles and stuff. But or is this just a West Coast deal? Or maybe I ought to start an East Coast Hall of Fame. But you got to get help, because I don't know everybody. There's a lot of really great Don Serwall and guys that we didn't do this time.
And that's the key is delegating it and getting the help. And I get flooded with ideas too. Oh, Norcal Karters needs to do this, and it's like, well, how about you help me with that? Because right now, there's 2 ways I can make it happen. You can help me do it, or you can send me a big check.
Yeah. It's just
something's got to replace my day job income. So and I love the ideas. There's just a time thing, and you're running into the same thing. And Van Dusen, VDM 46, anybody doing these type of stuff.
It's labor of love. It's just a labor of love.
Yeah.
Because there's not a whole lot of return in it.
And I will tell you that once you meet people like Duffy Livingstone and Faye Pearson, who every time I dealt with either one of them, they were just as friendly and open and as helpful. And then you get guys like John Rugani, you get guys like Terry Ives, Lynn Haddock back in Tennessee. Lynn really, I wouldn't have gotten Duffy's autograph on that tribute helmet, but for Lynn Haddock and Haddock and Ives and Scott Pruitt all raced against each other in Long Beach, and karting. So, great people, wonderful.
No, and it would be cool, like, making this a little bit. I know Tim and I are going to hit it pretty hard the next couple of months, and then maybe make it maybe a quarterly or a semi-annual show as well. Just like, okay, this is what's going on in the vintage thing. And I do the same thing with the Track Magic guys. They started this thing called the Track Magic Owners Group, and at first it's like you kind of laugh, right? It's like, what are these guys doing? It's It's a dead brand. What are we doing here? And what Bob and Jason and these guys have done with this group, it's stupid. Like the amount of members they have exploded. They're bringing people into the sport that, yeah, they probably won't really compete as far as most of them, but they're going out there having a good time, and they socialize, and we need more of that. And I'm actually surprised, and I want to call me out on it if I'm wrong, but why was it the Track Magic Owners Group? I personally know why. It's because Bob Eriks headed it up, took the time, took the effort to get these guys together. Yes. But how come there isn't an Emic Owners Group that's huge, or an Invader?
Oh, well, there is an Emic group.
There is. The guy that started it was Bob, the Track Magic guy.
Yeah, but Track Magic, I knew the guy that started Track Magic from the skateboard business.
Yeah.
And he was a skateboard man. I had a skateboard park down in Saratoga, California. And
did you? Okay.
Yeah, I had a shop and a regular park. It was a 2-acre park. It was pretty good size. And then I had a skateboard shop in Fremont.
Okay.
And so I knew him from that day.
Yeah.
And he was a unique individual. He was a smart guy and a thinker, but his people were just loyal.
Oh yeah.
People he then when he went into karting, it didn't seem like that was a karting business. It was a karting family.
Yes.
And the Track Magic guys and the people that he hired, the people that he sponsored, they would take the bullet for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's that group, and the LaPointes and those guys that were. He had the LaPointes are big names of skiers, and then when he passed away, I mean, it was like everybody lost a grandfather.
Yeah.
And so and for them and I think the guy that started that group, I think he really missed them. I think this was almost a tribute to the founder.
Oh, it's a complicated group, and it's cool. But yeah, why does it take one guy like that to get one group going, and then he got the Emic group going? It's like there's names out there like Emic, Invader, Margay that have been around for a long time, and even if you go to the European stuff, is there a CRG owners group, a Burrell owners group? It's like not that I'm aware of.
No, I would do an Invader group myself, but I just can't. But an Invader group would be as big as the Emic group.
Yeah,
because they were the first ones that copied that Kart to make a Sidewinder.
Okay,
and they were one of the very first ones, and they won a lot of races when the Kart 74, maybe 74, 75. They won a lot of go-kart races. They perfected that Sidewinder chassis, American style.
Yeah.
And they sold a lot of go-karts. My son was. That was another funny. I took my son to a rental track. It used to be an old Malibu Grand Prix track that turned into a kart rental track. And the guy that had it had Invader cars with Yamaha motors and Berco clutches. Probably 77. And I took my son there and spent a couple hundred bucks, which is a lot of money back in that day for him, just to do laps. And the owner of the kart track, his last name was Hall. He called Gary Emick and said, "Hey, not Gary Emick,
Nelson,
yeah, the dad." I said, "Hey, I got this kid out here, and he looks pretty good." And Gary Nelson called me. It was probably on a Friday night or Thursday night or something. He called me the first Monday that he could contact me and said, "Hey, you were out at the kart track, and the guy says your kid's pretty good," and he gave us a kart right then and there.
Yeah,
and we raced for Nelson, from 77 on, and he was. There should be an Invader kart group.
I think all major manufacturers really need it, and then. The things that the Track Magic guys have talked about is opening up their Track Magic rallies to the other manufacturers. Like, no, it's going to be a super rally.
God, that would be That would be crazy.
Yeah, and for those that don't know what the Super Rally is, it's some guys go out and they go pound a bunch of laps, and then you have other guys that do 3 laps all weekend long, but everyone's happy, everyone's smiling, and then if you have the older stuff that you have the older invaders, the MX, etc., you start meeting these people. There's guys with just totes of parts, and a lot of times they just put it on a shelf and forget. It's like, oh yeah, I might have that steering hub, or I might have this, I might have that.
There's a lot of carts hanging on the walls, and there's a lot of parts sitting in boxes. Still, I'm surprised at how many old carts still barn finds still show up.
Yeah.
So no. I think that would help karting too. And,
it would because right now karting is so intense on, the teams and grooming the drivers and turning them into professionals. But we're forgetting about that recreational guy. We're forgetting about making karting just fun for the majority. How many guys do you personally know that race, that compete in motocross at the national level? I personally don't know a single one, but I've got 10 or 15 buddies with dirt bikes that just go out and ride.
Exactly. I was really fortunate. I've never had a real job. I've always kind of followed trends. I had a skateboard park, and I had a slot car. When I was in high school in the 60s, I had a slot car track in business.
Okay.
And then I did the go-kart thing. I did motocross thing. I know Brad Lackey and all from that era. I know most of them because I promoted motocross races in Northern California as Norcal Motocross back in the 70s, and just kind of followed trends and stuff. But you can be a fan of the sport, but it's just so much fun. It's just, I've been there at the Sousa races helping my son tune a kart, and that expense. At the Super Nationals this year, we went through like 10 sets of tires.
That's all.
I think Tim is admitting
I'm still frugal. I'm still frugal.
Like me.
Yeah. No, and I'm not bashing on that stuff because I made a pretty good living off of that type of racing.
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, I still enjoy it. But
as you're in the kart business, aren't you? Got a shop or something, or?
But right now I buy and sell karting equipment, but I'm targeting your Facebook Marketplace, your Craigslist people.
Okay.
I don't try to bring in the latest, greatest equipment and try to compete with the current market. It's hard to say there's a lot of brick and mortars because in NorCal there's only a few of them, but a lot of the race teams are catering to those guys that want brand new equipment, be under a tent. I don't try to compete with them. My business model is getting new people in the sport, or
you may have to
target the recreational guy. Like Walter, I met Walter a year and a half ago at a swap meet, and the guy's bought 5 carts. I use him as an example all the time.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't go to the swap meet, I never would have met him. And I don't know if he ever would have got into karting.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to talk. I've got a garage full of that stuff.
A garage full. That's what I do. I do buyouts.
It's just sitting there. I've got Intrepid carts. I've got in 2011. My son somehow convinced. We had just gotten back into karting, probably 6 months or so.
Okay.
And he talked. We bought a Swiss headless kart from a guy back in New York, brand new one. He gave us a driving all and we took it to the IKF Nationals in 2011 with no experience. We just went to the races.
Yeah.
and we learned a lot that weekend. But then a couple months later, 6 months later, he talks. So he's looking for a team to go to the Super Nationals with, and this guy in Italy Gisolo karts, which is an Italian brand that does really well there, and talked him into coming to the Super Nationals. The guy wanted to come to the Super Nationals, but he wanted somebody here that could do the groundwork for him. Yeah. And so I wound up doing the groundwork for him. We got the space out the Super Nationals. Got a really nice top row space for him. We got 40 by 40 10 or whatever it was, and he shipped us over half a dozen carts, and and motors and stuff, and we went racing with him, and that was just like a Chinese fire drill, because we were new at to do stuff, and they had no idea how to run soft tires.
Oh, okay.
They're running hard tires, so the seats were up too high, and we were just fighting one another the whole time. But what I got from that is the guy, Luca was that called him, and nobody spoke English. The guys he brought over, nobody spoke English, so they were Italian, and he brought over a cart that he wanted to build forever. The main frame rail is one piece, and it's got a bolt-in front axle so you could adjust the front end. And the FIA wouldn't homologate it. They said it would change karting too much.
Okay.
I got the cart. I got the it's going to be called a Diablo or something, but I've got that cart. But the FIA wouldn't do it.
Really?
Yeah. So I've got.
So it's one piece. The left and the right frame rail is one piece.
All the way around. Went all the way around, and yeah.
Did it have pinch bolts running through the waist section?
What's that?
Did it have like bolts running through the inner waist to an inner hoop?
No. And then the front axle bolted in, and the front axle was you could actually raise and lower the front end of the cart with the axle.
Oh, okay.
But it was I'll send you a picture of it or something. I've got the homologation report that says no, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds like a tubing bender nightmare.
Oh, you should. Yeah. I think he had a programmable bender or something. But anyway, that was how I got back in the karting, and with my boy going big time, and now he's doing quite well financially, and so he's a story that just blows my mind is funny. He God, I can't remember the name, but he's gotten his helmets painted by different people. And there's a painter that does helmets does for IndyCar drivers and stuff. And he went to him. I can't remember his name. But anyway, the paint job and the new helmet is $14,000.
Oh wow!
He says, and he ordered this thing almost a year ago, and he still hasn't gotten it. But yeah, but the helmet's gonna be. It's got pictures painted into the helmet of when he first started.
Oh, really? Okay, that'd be cool.
It's got a picture of the first Vader kart that he had with him in it as a kid with a white helmet and the driving suit. And that's in there, and the numbers. So it's. I guess it's there. My kid's watching here. Red King. Yeah, there he is. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh shit! Hey, that's pretty good. Hey Tim, what you doing? He was a really good go-kart racer, and he still is. He's one of the fastest masters out there.
Oh, now you're starting to sound like a junior dad.
And I know. I sound like this, but he's pretty good. So,
it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing that we still have people listening and watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are hitting that threshold where we're starting to drop off, though.
Yeah.
If Ashley was in the background, she's the one that helps me out with the show as well.
Yeah.
She's pretty strict on the 1 hour. Because there was one time Andy Saisman and I from Challenge of Americas, I think we had like a 3.5 hour podcast, and we just started talking like this, and I never hit end, and we just started talking, and and then she logged back in, and she's like, Jason's such an idiot. He didn't hit end for the live stream, so she logged in to hit end, and she didn't realize we still had the show going, so. Yeah, ever since then, she's pretty punctual about the 1 hour mark, but it's also good too, because then if a show's really good and it's like this is going well and people are still commenting, we just break them up. It's like, okay, we'll have you back, and then we'll do another show, and I'm always looking for creative things to fill in the time with as far as the months, because upcoming races and old races, it's like that's cool once a month, but.
Because I've got a few texts here that dealing with old guys, they have a hard time with computers generally.
I was surprised you two made it on. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim was going to do the whole virtual background thing. It's like, all right.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be cool. So, but I think it's good for karting. To get some old guys who race in the
Yeah.
like my son. He's not an old guy, but the guys that raced in the '70s, to get them come back out and run the.
Hey, watch your mouth about that old guy stuff.
I didn't say you're an old guy. I said you're a master.
Watch it.
But he's still competitive, and the master class, I think, is 30 and over. You turn 30.
Yeah, I think it's 30.
Yeah, so my boy says he's 58, and he's still competitive with all the young guys. So.
Well, I definitely appreciate you guys coming on. We'll have to do this more often.
Yeah.
Get some more names on. Like I said, I can get a hold of Vince and see if he wants to come on. And Vince is actually interesting. I won't make it too long, but he's one of those guys. Him and I have done a lot of road trips to Vegas because I used to work for Sweet Tech.
Okay. Oh, did you?
Yeah. So him and I would,
I recognize you from there.
You probably recognize me from the track support for the SCUSA stuff.
From the track support, yes.
Yeah. And so him and I would have these road trips, and he would talk. We would talk about stuff, but he would never talk about his racing. And it was always people would call into the shops like, "Oh, can I talk to Vince?" Like, yeah, I don't care, because I answered all the phones. And then they would say, "Do you know how badass a Vince is?" It's like, no. It's like he's the engine guy. He's not a badass. And then people would like drop me these little stories.
Yeah.
So when we're on the road trip, I would ask him, say, "Hey, this guy Joe Bob said this about you," and then he would start telling some stories. Like,
yeah,
I mean, he's got a hell of a history.
Oh yeah, and no, the 77 group of senior drivers when the PKA started up and the Professional Kart Racing Association. You had Scott Goodyear and Gifford and Pruitt and Emick and Vince, and I mean the list. Just I could name probably 35 drivers that could win any race.
Yeah,
and we don't have that. I mean that was a really tough field, and a lot of those guys went on to big time racing. They were at 78, 77, 78, 79, 80. I mean, that was some, and Vinny he was right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And you could tell it. He did, and then he went on and was a terror in Formula Fords and Formula Atlantic. He won a lot of races, and they weren't the high dollar team on the lineup either. They, Emick was supporting it and doing it, but he was.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have to have another show or two.
And I'm really glad because I talked to Vince at some of the Sousa races. I said, "Vinny, why don't you come out to this Vinny's kart thing?" Like he had no interest whatsoever. He would just look away. I got something to go do, and to see him come around, and then he got Emick back to it, and Emick seems to be pretty. He's bit the hook pretty solid now.
Yeah.
Ronnie was kind of like the missing man for quite a long time, and we are tickled to have him.
He was the missing link, and there's a few. If we can get Mark Dismore from back there, there's a few, but we have some pretty good racers now, that are showing up from that era, from the 70s.
Let's definitely revisit in March. The second weekend or the second Monday of March. Let's revisit again.
Okay,
and that'll give us about a month to try to get more
and now that
lined up.
And like anything, it'll be a lot easier to somebody come on the show now once they see what it is and they can watch it and see what's going on. Then, because I know the Hall of Fame is that way, the first one. This first one is people going, isn't there a go-kart Hall of Fame? Isn't there a and so I really think that this will help karting because we need to get the vintage karting people. We need to get more people out there because it's really a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of
I,
fun.
I hope he's listening, but I think my boy might come to one of them.
Oh,
Yeah. So and I've got his Invader cart. I've got an Invader cart with a Yamaha on it, just waiting for him. I even put his side seat in it. So so maybe we'll get him out there.
get them out there. Yeah.
But Vinny posted a lot of pictures of my boy on his go kart because him there was a group up north of my boy and Tommy Winninger, and there's a couple others that they were the same kind of battle. I mean, it was those four kids that won everything.
Okay.
And Tommy Winninger would be somebody like to get on here. He was and his dad from Vallejo. There's just so many guys that really moved karting along, made it what it is with their support and racing and bringing people out. So anyway,
Very cool.
well, I really appreciate being on. This has been a lot of fun, and Jim stepped up. He's a hey. Are we going to do that wine thing at Hall of Fame, the banquet?
Well, I was wondering if I should bring that up. You're having a what do you call it? A open bar kind of thing, the social hour before the actual banquet. I could probably do a short vertical or something like that. I put on a 40-year vertical tasting in October of 2022, and it was a once in a lifetime event, and I've still got a lot of those wines. I became a fan of Kincannon Vineyards, and Jim Kincannon, who is a personal friend, was the first winemaker in the United States to bottle Petite Syrah as a varietal. And so we had him there, his wife, all his kids, and we had 40 vintages of Kincannon Petite Syrah. And 40 takes a whole evening or more.
Yeah.
But maybe I should do a little private tasting over on the side. If you want to set up a table and you think it'll work, I'll bring 4 to 6 bottles and we'll open them all and let people see what a little vertical tasting is like.
I'm thinking we should do a live stream of that when I'm drinking again.
Yeah, yeah. No, the room I've got, we could do a kart show in there and the banquet. We're going to have plenty of room. It's going to be a really nice setup. It's a really nice room too. Because one thing we're going to do is that after the introduction, when things get started, we're going to tip a glass of wine to everybody, to all people that we've lost this past year.
Yes.
So we'll do that. That's not my idea. There's a motorcycle group that does that, and that's a really I think that's a really nice gesture for everybody that's passed this past year, because we're getting a bunch of.
Why don't we plan on having a side table, and I'll do like a 6-bottle vertical, and spread the years out a little bit, and who knows? People might really find that interesting. And I always leave the wine behind. We save the corks, and if somebody we get a half a bottle left of something and they really liked it, I slam a cork into it and take it home.
Yeah, my son just got back from South Africa this past week, and he says they've got the best wines he's ever tasted. So yeah, he just got back from it, which I thought was interesting.
It definitely is an art. Beer has to be the same every time.
Yeah,
wine is always different, and amazing stuff.
So Jason, what's it going to take to get you and yours and stuff to the banquet?
Ooh,
I have to look at the dates.
Think about that.
And some really good wine. No, we can talk about it off air to see, what you want us to
Hey,
do.
I
We can talk about it off the stream, but yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, how you
I
yeah, how
planted
we can work the live
seed
stream
in your head, and if you can do it, that'll be great. I think you would enjoy yourself, and I think everybody would enjoy having you there.
Yeah, no, we could definitely talk about it off air. I know you already mentioned you have an MC and stuff, which I'm not really a good MC anyway. So that's
that's a little iffy right now. So we might don't even mention your name if you're not interested. So
no, I don't think of myself as an MC. But let's see. Let's bring up your.
Okay.
Let's close the show out with your website here.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to the banquet information.
Yeah, banquet. The better information is farther down. Scroll down farther. Because I went into more detail. Keep going. Right there.
Right there. Okay.
Yeah, it's got the menu and what we're doing. The top thing is kind of a teaser. I'm gonna probably change that up to something else. But yeah, this is the something that was a real shock to me is the cost of catering now. Is just when I did the banquets for the Go-Kart Hall of Fame in the early 2000s, 2004 and 5, it was $20 for a good meal, and now it's almost 50 plus the gratuity 18% on top of that. So this is not a moneymaker.
Yeah,
that's a. But anyway, that's most of everything. The settled in times and how we're going to. I've made a social hour a little bit longer than because I think the sessions like we're having now. I think there'll be a lot of those. I was even thinking about having a little panel or something. Get these guys talking. The stories are really fun.
Yeah.
And so
anyway. Well, so you have your website's Go-Kart Hall of Fame, and then you have the inaugural ceremony on April 12th, 2024 down in Bakersfield.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, you can reach out to Tim, and I definitely appreciate you joining the show tonight. We'll have you back next month as well in March.
Great. Great.
And we'll see you rounded up.
And we can talk between that because I'd like to get on that board behind you. So
okay, that sounds good.
Because I plan on this being a forever deal. The board we're going to set up is going to be, if something if I happen to fall off a roof tomorrow, somebody else can the board can keep it going. So.
Yeah, I'm not smiling because I want you to fall off a roof.
No,
I know exactly what you mean. Like we said it earlier in the show, we don't know when our time is here. So,
and here I thought Tim's wife was the one that did all of the rooftop work.
She does. She's been. The reason why we can't keep employees is because she intimidates most of everybody. Because she knows heating and air conditioning as good as anybody, and she's not afraid to do anything. So she's.
But when this podcast started out, Tim, you were a little truculent. You were kind of just I don't know. And between Jason and myself, we really got you going tonight, and that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, gentlemen, thank you again.
Hey, okay, well, I think, you've kept me up longer. You guys are both in California. I'm an hour later.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, put your depends on and hit the sack.
Yep. Yeah, there you go.
All right, well, Jim Waltz, I appreciate you making it on the show. Current president of Blue Max Kart Club.
My poodle is laying on his bed right there by Black Poodle. He's Indy. He's just he when I'm up here, he's always there.
You're cracking us up, Tim. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Blue Max Kart Club, your swap meet is coming up February 24th and 25th.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we'll have Tim back on next month to talk about the Go-Kart Hall of Fame happening April 12th, 2024. And then I'm going to hit you guys' mics mute for a moment. And then I'm going to sign the show off. So like always, every way I sign off the show, if we all get one person to karting, we'll double by next year. So if you have some ideas for shows, I don't want. If you're a team and you want to get a free plug, send me a check. Then I'll give you your free plug. But if you have a show idea that's going to help people either get into the sport or stay in the sport that brings some value, reach out to me, because I have 1 or 2 Mondays that Ashley calls Norcal Mondays. So we have 1 or 2 a month that are open to do these type of shows. So yeah. So like I said, if we all get one person in the sport, we'll double by next year. And everyone have a good night.